Hello, everybody. My name is Richard Vigorelli, and this is Vigorelli Institute. And I've got something for you that I was kind of kicking around last few days. Now, with RIPA versus War of Separation, I kind of got to thinking, okay? There's a lot within, possible futures, alternate histories, stuff like that, of what is known as a balkanization event within the United States. Now, the United States has already experienced this once. A lot of people, in my opinion, mistakenly call that the Civil War. It was not a civil war. It was a secessionary revolt. A civil war is defined as a conflict between two parties or two factions within the same nation, depending on what religion or ruler or style of government they want to have. The borders of the country remain the same. But if a piece of that country is trying to fall away and form an independent nation, then it's a revolt, a secessionary revolt. Thank you. Anyway, moving on. One of the things that I always find whenever people are looking at such a movement in the United States is the borders always presume the political borders of the states. Okay? And that does not seem logical to me. Okay? I don't understand why. Okay? If somebody can explain it to me like I'm an idiot 5-year-old, please do. Okay? See, when Rome fragmented, okay, it didn't just break into the countries we know today. That took a long time. It didn't break along the lines of the provinces, okay? It broke along ethnic lines, it broke along religious lines, and it also broke along strongman lines, okay? A given general from a given detachment was able to secure the area, however big that may have been. Another tribe moved in and said, "Hi, this is all ours. We all like each other, so this is our stuff." Case of Burgundy, for instance, that was a region. They all had basically the same ethnicity. They all spoke basically the same dialect of Latin, which would later become the same dialect of French, and it was called Burgundian, and so forth. So now, Burgundy was actually split up between, I believe, 3 separate provinces, and they just kind of coalesced together. Italia was kind of a macro province, and it was also kind of split up into 2 or 3 sub-provinces, depending on the time period. Anyway, Metatron, feel free to get back to me on that one. My, political borders knowledge of the Roman Empire might be a bit light. Anyway, moving on. So what would conceivably happen here in the U.S. is, yes, I understand that what we call Florida is, the shape of Florida. That might not be the case in a balkanization event. Okay? Now, I know people from the Florida Panhandle. They don't sound like most Floridians. If anything, they sound like people from Alabama. Like, moving into Tallahassee, if you talk to a native there, they're very much so deep south, y'all. You can hear the banjo music, basically. Okay? Meanwhile, you get over into, say, Fort Wayne, St. Augustine, down into Miami for that matter, totally different. They sound nothing alike. The cultures are different, okay? Their outlooks are different. Political affiliations are wildly different. There is absolutely no reason why these people would be part of the same country during a balkanization event. In fact, I'm willing to bet that Tallahassee is going to side a lot more with at least the southern part of Alabama than it ever would with, the Florida Peninsula. Okay? Then you look at Texas. Okay? Austin's the odd man out. It's a blue dot in a sea of red, politically speaking. And they don't talk the same. Okay? They don't think the same. So why would they associate themselves with each other unless it made military and economic sense to do so? Okay? As you have to understand how countries form. First, they form along ethnic lines. That's called tribalism. Okay? And they also form along religious lines. But even though we pray to the same God the same way and so forth, that doesn't necessarily mean I like you. Okay? New York and New Jersey, for instance, can't stand each other. They share a river. Okay? Yet a lot of people automatically assume, well, they're next to each other, they'll like each other. No. I can just about guarantee you in a balkanization event, New York and New Jersey, they're going to go at it like cats and dogs and probably birds as well. It will not be pretty. In fact, is it the East River or the Hudson? I forget that separates them. They will probably fortify those banks once them staying together becomes not a thing. They're going to fight each other. Okay? And you look out west, okay? The people in where I'm from, the Wasatch Front, they share quite a bit, but it's also a very insular area. If you're from Salt Lake and you pop up to Ogden, people in Ogden will look at you weird, like, why are you here? You shouldn't be here. We don't know you. A lot of them won't even talk to you, do business with you, or anything. They might be superficially polite, but you're not going to get a whole lot out of them. And it's only maybe 50 miles difference. Okay? 30, 40 minutes by car. Yeah. It's like that. Okay? So, in any kind of balkanization event, it's going to start off with rampant chaos basically everywhere. What will become extremely important is food and energy. Okay? The two absolute basic things to survive. Okay? Then people will start banding together in whatever size of grouping to keep another grouping from coming in and taking their stuff. Okay? Once that forms cohesively, then you got the start of a new nation. I'm willing to bet that in any balkanization event, it will probably strip down to individual cities and regions within a state. And those regions might bleed over the current borders into another state as we know them today. For example, out west, I would expect southeast Utah to side a lot more with northeast Arizona and probably a little bit into Colorado. I'm expecting kind of a fractal looking nation to come out of that. It'll be some kind of desert tribe thing. Maybe the Navajo will gain power. I have no idea. Okay. And I also would not expect California to ally themselves with anybody. There might be like kind of a quasi-mercantilist, um, quasi-communist state form up along the coastline that might stretch as far as, Seattle, all the way from San Diego, but I doubt it. They don't like each other. Okay? So I'm willing to bet that the Los Angeles basin, maybe moving down into San Diego, will form a small country. A lot of the interior will most likely turn into a buffer zone versus the cities out in the desert, assuming those even remain populated, because a lot of their stuff, the food gets trucked in. So I'm willing to bet Taos is going to see a massive population reduction. And probably not in a good way, meaning they're probably not going to migrate out. It's going to be nasty. Okay? Here in the South, where I am, we got lots of food, so the question is, who controls it? Whoever controls the food controls the population, and whatever they want to call this place, that's what it gets called. Okay? Now, I live in the state of Tennessee. It might not keep that name. Okay? Part of France is called Aquitania. Great. Okay. Where Rome is, that's called Latium. It's now called Lazio in Italian. So the names are going to change. And they are going to change as the language evolves and as the culture evolves. So what would really impress me is if somebody came up with a hypothetical map of the United States based on cultural and religious lines in a balkanization event. We'll say it happens tomorrow. So if you're kind of into that sort of stuff, I might do my own. We'll see. Please do. Let me know on Twitter, man. My handle is in the description. I would love to talk to you. It would be cool. And who knows, I might even do a video with it. Okay? So, it's about all I've got for you today, guys. If you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, leave a comment. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. And also follow me on Twitter. Again, handle is in the description. And if you're into alternate history and you kind of want to play around with the U.S., I really want to talk to you. This would be cool. So, until later, you take care. Bye-bye.